I'll pick this up too. I'm hitting my device to watch my time so I don't run over 8 minutes.
Dr. Josie CSETE, by the way. Hong Kong PolyU.
Oh, thank you very much. First of all, I want to say I'm sorry that I'm late. This is a good argument for having a virtual conference. I live in Photon. There was a car accident at the bottom of my hill and it took me almost 2 hours to get here. So what I'm talking about is at PolyU's, some of our new learning environments. And rather than changed practices in higher education, I'd rather call it changing. And I really appreciated having the chance to think about this. I hope I'm hitting the right button. Okay. First, this is what I'm going to talk about. Where are we? What are we aiming for in the first place? When we think about our building works, there's both physical and virtual, as I know our other speakers have been talking about. And how is it showing signs of changing our learning and teaching practices? And I want to start with one idea that's going to show some people's ages. I want you to raise your hand if you ever flew into or out of Hong Kong from Kai Tak Airport. Kai Tak Airport. Now, if when you were in Kai Tak Airport, did you see students studying? Leave your hand up. Do you remember? Students would go to Kai Tak to study because they had no space and it was in town and it was relatively quiet. We were that desperate back then, right? We also had secondary schools and primary schools running double shifts. The poorer areas, triple shifts, right? So where are we? Where are we coming from? Remember the quality audits that we all did? Okay, or at least if we were at the higher education institutions? Well, within this, what's down here is an image that when we were asked one of the questions about how we're supporting our students, we conceptualized it in terms of the physical learning environment, the virtual learning environment, and other student support services, and how these come together for a comprehensive learning environment. And within this, I want to just touch on with this, the definition of blended is important, especially in Hong Kong, where theoretically we can get anywhere within a couple hours, right? We want to focus on flexible because things are changing and there should be different uses, and that's already been alluded to, for example, in Paul's presentation. And also, at least in PolyU, we're combining a top-down and a bottom-up approach to this. Huge building works take a lot of money, but then there are also excellent ideas from teachers about changing the learning environment that we have to foster from the bottom up also. So the idea of flexible and blended is definitely in our strategic plan. This is a photo of PolyU, and I just have, over here is our hotel icon, so we also have learning spaces that are very applied. We also have new buildings going up. One looks like a ship that's being unwrapped if you pass in that direction. Here's a vision of the podium that's also facing some of the buildings that are going up. Can you hear me if I turn this off?
I think you're on the border of the microphone if you move that way.
Okay. I'm just trying to see people. I apologize. So in this image, what you see is there are people always on the podium, and we're starting to use the outdoor spaces in different ways. And of course, we have specially fit rooms in a variety of ways. Some are more technologically enhanced than others, but teachers usually have to request to use the highly technologically focused ones. These are two pictures. Now we're talking about work and interaction spaces. The library, the one with all the brown squares, is our coffee house that's inside the library. Not a revolutionary concept anymore. It's used all the time. See how students open computers? And this other place that currently has the students at tables is actually an open exhibition area that is used variably on the ground floor of the library. The idea of flexible, and yeah, when it comes time to test time, we have to make more space for our students because the new airport is just too far away. Okay. In these next four images, I actually just asked a colleague to walk around campus a few days ago. Unfortunately, it was raining, so he didn't get the best photos. The first two things you see are two of our coffee houses. One is the external entrance from the library, the other one is outside. These are being used a lot by students, by teachers, by students and teachers getting together. We have picnic benches around the place, and here's just one exhibit in our logo square, but we had to make it a covered area. So at PolyU, we're trying to make a lot of use of outdoor areas that make it easy for people to get together. And not just students with students, in other ways too. Now, I'm going to talk about the virtual environments, and I know because of the way the trends worked, more than 10 years ago, just about every institution throughout Asia was using WebCT if they had a learning management system. And then many of us have made a change recently. I just had Second Life here because we were a university that made a big push towards that. And what's funny is we wanted to have a whole campus. There's a library, there's a practical hotel, the students could do orientations in there, stuff like that. But when we opened the virtual campus, we had an actual physical opening for our virtual campus with a ribbon cutting. And now, like many institutions, we've moved over to Blackboard. So we have Lapu. Sounds Hawaiian to me. Lapu Lapu. It's supposed to be learn at PolyU. But with this, we need to support teachers and students on how to make good use of it, especially teachers. So we have things like an e-teaching resource site, and we have just-in-time training as well as professional training. So we have to give a lot of professional support to our teachers to help make the virtual environment work with what's happening in the physical environment. Now I'm going to give you a tale of two projects, and I'm going to focus again on the blended, flexible, top-down, bottom-up. The first one was what we called the Linked Classroom Project, and it was a project based on actually a desperate situation called double entry this year. We had 1,500 students coming in for generic anatomy. We also had several other very large classes. And as it was, when it was half that size, the teachers were giving the lecture 3 times a week and holding up to 40 sections of the tutorials a week. Okay, it was crazy. So what they opted to do there, and this is just a depiction of it, is they used technology. They took 3 larger lecture rooms that were next door to each other. The idea was the lecturer was in the middle room, and there was a video link to the other rooms, and the students could see the PowerPoints, and there was a TA with a microphone. Okay, another thing, so what they stayed synchronous. The other thing that they did is they scheduled it at 8:30 on Saturday morning, okay? Can you guess how well this went? Not well, okay? We were using technology. We were using technology to try to address a very pressing need. And not to the fault of the people who were trying to arrange this, but there were many problems, older wiring between the buildings and so forth. So it was very difficult to make this work to actually enhance teaching and learning. So I would say that this wasn't very blended, right? That it certainly wasn't flexible, and I won't say about whether it was top down or bottom up. This is being recorded, right? Here's another tale, and I was hoping to come after Paul, although I didn't plan it that way on purpose. We have some teachers that are leading using, again, bring your own device, and they're doing in-class polling. And this is another large class, it's psychology, and what they're doing here is they're asking the students to use their own device to answer questions during class. What's happening is, for example, the students are continuing to come to class. Attendance is not falling off. Engagement is continuing. The teacher is currently writing a paper with staff in our department. They're looking at the students' results at the end of the semester also, that they'll be presenting at an international conference. So as part of the top-down, bottom-up, the TDGs are currently being distributed, the teaching development grants, and there's more than one project involving iPads or polling devices and things like that to help get a little bit more support to get going on a stronger level. But I very much believe at PolyU, like Paul said about Chinese U, we're going to have more and more in-class polling and things like that so the students can do it. And that's the end of my presentation.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.